Yo, what is up, everybody? How's it going? And welcome back to another episode of the One Piece Virgin podcast. We got the Virgin with me today, Poseidon. How you doing?
Hello, I am doing wonderful. How is everybody else doing?
Pretty good. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas
Merry
to all.
Christmas.
We got two great guests today. People that came through on Christmas Eve. We got Teching 101.
This is a normal day for me. Hello, everybody. This was like when I was working at the store, I would always be the guy that worked on Christmas Eve because I just did not care.
Fair. At least, it's good to have a couple people like that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
then,
guess so.
and then we got Jordan, the anime dude.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy to be here. Happy to help.
And it's guys, this was not planned in any way. This is a complete coincidence. We got the Winter Island. We got the Christmas somewhat themed island with a reindeer and a sleigh and all that. And yeah, we're covering Drum Island today, boys.
You strategically planned this
Yes.
like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
You knew when you started this again that
Yeah.
it was going to be on Christmas.
I knew that Poseidon was gonna have to miss a couple weeks, that I was gonna be
Yeah,
on vacation
it's all
and
planned.
moving, and then everything was gonna get delayed just for this moment. It was actually all a part of my Aizen secret master plan.
Animac begged him. He's like, please don't do it on Christmas Eve. And he's like, no, you don't understand. This is all according to Keikaku right here.
Cake,
From day
all
one.
according to cake.
All right, Poseidon. General thoughts on the arc overall. How you feeling?
I absolutely loved it. I
Let's go.
actually loved all of Drum Island. It was such a fun arc, and we finally get to meet our good old friend Tony Chopper, which at this time of recording is his birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, you stole the fact. You stole the fact. I was gonna say it, but
He's on top
I
of
would
it.
have stolen it from Jordan. So
It's his birthday.
it's his
so-
birthday.
He's
Yeah, this-
17 years old for the 20th year in a row.
No, like I actually really loved Drum Island, and watching it during the Christmas season definitely I feel like added to the experience. All the snow and everything,
hmm
and it was a fun time. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, that's awesome to hear. I think Drum Island, in my opinion, is a little bit underrated. A lot of people don't like it that much. I feel like a lot of people do tend to rate their arcs based off of like the fights and the villain and like the Luffy versus whoever he's fighting. When I do think One Piece is just so much more than that, and it's a small little arc that I personally have a lot of favorite moments and characters from. Jordan, Tekking, how do you guys feel about Island, like roughly in general?
I loved it. I've always loved it. I think back in the 4Kids era when I first saw it, it was like during Christmas or around Christmas time. And I remember just waking up early and watching it like a Saturday morning cartoon. And it had this really warm feeling of just like, oh, Snow and Chopper as a Straw Hat. And he's this
Mhm.
reindeer character. I'm like, I like that. Yeah.
How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, it was always one of my favorite early arcs. You love to see it. I always got annoyed as a kid because like midway through the arc, the screen always goes blurry and it's like 480p. And then I realized, that happens whether you read the manga or the anime. It's just everything starts to get really sad all of a sudden. But
Yes.
it's such a good arc.
Yeah, there's
all in
definitely
all.
a lot of sad moments, especially
Oh,
with
yeah.
the backstories with two different characters and everything like that. Poseidon, is there any like specific moments or things you want to talk about?
So I now see where that little meme comes from of like Chopper just crying. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys know what I'm talking about. The GIF, the GIF of like Chopper just like scream crying. That came from this arc, and when that popped up, I was like, oh, there it is. I know where this is from now.
I think
Um,
that one might be from the 9th movie, which is a retelling of this, which is weird. It's a strange thing they did with that.
Yeah, that I think that was the moment between Luffy and Chopper, and like it just made me so happy.
Mhm.
It did. But yeah, no, Chopper's backstory was definitely the thing that made me really sad. I wasn't expecting such kind of a tragic story coming from such a cute little
Little guy.
reindeer guy. But yeah, the whole doctor like story arc, how Wapple had like 20 doctors hostage and he got rid of everybody else, and it was just Koreha and Chopper on the island taking care of everybody. It was quite sad, and to also like see Dalton, how he was part of Wapple's crew, and he saw how corrupt they were, and he decided to just kind of join the village and take care of them. It was a definitely tugged on my heartstrings type of arc, and I actually really really enjoyed it.
I agree. I think it's also got like a lot of good characters. Like you just mentioned there, you threw out a bunch of names. You got Dalton, such a good guy but likable character. We got Dr. Coreja, like a 140-year-old fucking witch. She's like both the Grinch and Santa Claus with doctor's equipment.
Oh, don't
Hey.
let her say call her
Hey.
140 years old. She is a
139.
young 99.
139.
There you
Well, no,
go.
isn't she 141 now?
She's 141 now.
Sorry,
She was
that's actually
139
spoilers.
back then.
Time goes by
in
in One
those-
Piece. Sorry, my
She's in
bad.
those 130s, you know.
She's young. She's kicking. Who else? Dr. Hiriluk. How did you feel about Dr. Hiriluk, Poseidon?
He at first when I saw him, he was just kind of like I don't want to say whatever, but I wasn't really that invested in him as like a character.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Okay, hold up. Let me. So as like he took in Chopper and started like teaching him and all of that, I started to really like him as a character. And that moment where he was like getting sick and Chopper decides to basically pay back the favor, right, of him taking care of Chopper and trying to find this mushroom that is supposedly supposed to heal everything, only for him to accidentally poison him, and just like Hiriluk basically living out his last day, telling Kureha to take care of Chopper and everything. Oh my god, I was sobbing throughout like the whole episode.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many sad
sad.
moments when, like, especially when Chopper finds out, or when Chopper is like absolutely like completely beat up, finally delivers that mushroom to find out like it's actually poison and gonna kill Dr. Hiriluk. But Dr. Hiriluk doesn't let the mushroom kill him.
No, he doesn't.
No,
By the
he
way,
doesn't.
even if he would have, Chopper would have technically cured him. I mean, he'd be dead, but he would technically cure him. There you go.
You can't be sick if you're dead.
True.
Can't be
That's a
sick
good
if you're
point.
dead, exactly.
True. Didn't think of that.
I guess that's
Yeah.
one way to look at it, right?
It is the ultimate cure for
It
everything.
is the ultimate cure for everything. That's hilarious. Do you guys have
Oh,
a Tekking and Jordan? Do you guys have like a favorite character in this arc?
Ooh, you go first, Jordan.
I think honestly, as cliche as it is, Chopper's probably my favorite character. Although I think you start to appreciate some of the supporting cast whenever you go back and reread it or rewatch it, or at least I did. I know like Hiriluk is one where he's a bit of a kooky guy, so he's not really much of an actual doctor. And the first time through, that surface level, that's kind of, it is what it is. You're like, it's a little weird, a little wonky, but I don't know. One Piece is one of those stories that always has like multiple layers to the storytelling, and I think this is one of those arcs that like kind of rubs that in your face a little bit, where he has this flag. He's like, this is a skull and crossbones, but to me it represents, eradicating diseases because of what he went through. So like his whole backstory and all that. There's a lot there. There's a lot to appreciate.
I've always liked Dalton, which sounds surprising to most people because he's kind of boring, but I always just viewed him as he's a very down-to-earth, kind of relatable character that was the captain of the guard for years under Wapol, and he was under the former king, didn't like what Wapol was doing, but it's like, I guess this is my sense of duty. Maybe it was because out of honor of the old king or whatever, he kept going along with it, tried to rebel, it didn't work out, and the people kind of accepted him and just like, hey, it's okay. We know you're not as bad as Wapol and his other groups, so we'll, basically making him like the de facto mayor of the island for the moment, and he doesn't like that, but it's like, no, it's cool. You're a good guy. So I've always liked Dalton and his form as like he just genuinely tries to fight back against Wapol. It's awesome.
I mean, Dalton's just a nice, good guy. He's
a
really
good dude.
he's really
Yeah.
likable. I can see why you like him. He's really the opposite, like the complete polar opposite of Wapol in every way.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
Wapol wants to be king, Dalton doesn't want to be. Well, Wapol's an absolute fucking asshole, piece of shit. Only worries about himself and no one else. Like, and then Dalton's the exact opposite. He puts others first, always over himself.
I also love that his weapon is basically a shovel. It's like
Yeah.
a shovel. It's a shovel with a blade on it. That's basically his weapon. It's great. Yeah.
I will say though, Dalton was kind of misled until he was inspired by Dr. Hiriluk. I think that was kind of the
Yeah.
initiating factor of kind of where
Was.
his change began and where his his arc started to kind of change in direction. And I think that's a very intentional thing, just based on you have these two different sides of Drum Island that you're kind of initially introduced to. You have that Dr. Hiriluk type side that like has the desire to go help people, but he doesn't really have the know-how or the competence to do so. And then you have like the Wapo side that's like comedically evil and like very tyrannical, to where like he has the 20 doctors and he has all the resources and whatnot, but he doesn't have any desire to actually put that to use for the sake of other people, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of have those two sides clash, and then Dalton's the result of that. You love to see it.
Yeah, Dalton seemed kind of like just like, well, this is what my job is. I guess I just have to go with it. And then Hiriluk's death was the thing that was like when he was crying, he was like, anything can be cured. Is that true for a country? And then that's when Dalton decided, okay, I'm done. I'm rebelling against you. I can't stand for this anymore. Yeah.
Plus, I think he's the first Zoan we see, right? Or
yes,
yes,
no?
but no, but yes.
Yes,
no?
we say
Okay.
yes,
I'm trying to
Tekken. We say
remember.
yes
The
here. We
first-
say yes
the
here.
First normal zone, yes, absolutely, yes.
I'm trying to remember.
As of Drum Island,
Yes, the
Poseidon,
answer's just yes.
Poseidon, this is the first zone type devil fruit user you have seen.
Ushi no
Zone.
model bison. Yes.
Have they
Yes.
went over the 3 different types at this point? At
We
some
go
point?
through it in
I
this
don't
arc. That's
think
where they go
so.
through it. Yeah.
Okay, so
they
they
do
I
say
wasn't
Zoan.
aware there were types.
Yes. Zone, Paramecia, and Logia.
Oh, I
Yep.
see. Which
Smoker was a Logia. He could turn into an element. Luffy is Paramecia. He could turn into rubber. And animals are zones.
Don't worry,
I
Poseidon.
see. Okay.
I only have that human memory too, but it's nice to have the encyclopedia memory
Yes.
like right here to
Hello.
reference.
Hello.
Close in.
And Oda will do anything to throw a wrench into that system at some point.
I'll never fucking forget. There was an episode of I used to host this game show called Buster Bust, where we get guest characters, where you guess characters based off of their chest. And I put a character from One Piece, and Tekken got it immediately, and then I'm like, well, that was really fast. He's like, also, it's chapter 1111, page 4, or something like that.
You used a very, very obvious one. I can't remember which one it was, but I like knew what you were referring to immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Bonnie. But anyway, Poseidon, how do you feel about... Okay, so Poseidon, prior to doing the One Piece version, had watched the live action. But now you're in completely new territory, and you're meeting a brand new Straw Hat. How do you feel about our boy Chopper joining the crew?
I honestly think Chopper might be my favorite character.
No way!
I have like a very weak, I'm very weak for animal type mascot characters. Like I love animals and all the sorts. So I think Chopper is so adorable. His voice is so adorable, and I just think it's so funny that he's just a little doctor guy.
Yeah.
He's there as the marketing character. He's
Yeah.
the adorable animal mascot, which is great. Yeah.
Forgot how much of a tsundere he was too, as far as he's like, don't praise me or anything. Yeah, but like he just gets
Baka.
so bashful over it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
Or
Really bashful
the
and
little
just-
hiding,
He's
like,
just
the little hiding
not
behind
used
the
to people.
behind the wall the wrong way, like little things like
wrong
that.
way.
He's so fucking cute. He is so cute, dude.
insert breaks Twitch emote here.
Yeah. You know, what I realized, which I never realized in the past, like I know that like they had to like nerf Zoro sometimes and make him injured or blah blah blah, but Poseidon pointed out last time with Little Garden and Whiskey Peak, like Sanji really didn't have any time to shine. Like he fought a little bit on Little Garden, very briefly, and like talked to Crocodile on the phone, but like it was mainly like Luffy and Zoro and like Nami and Usopp fighting, and Sanji wasn't really part of the main fight. And then this time around, Zoro's going for a fucking swim.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. By
Yeah.
the way, just after the recent arc where he almost like hacked his feet off.
Yeah.
You know, just like, yeah, let's stitch him up. Yeah, I'll go for a swim in ice water. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's like because you have this like monster trio, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. Upon rewatch and even off of like Poseidon pointing it out, I'm like, oh shit. In these arcs, you never have all 3 of them really fighting,
No.
other than
No.
Arlong Park. Other than Arlong Park, it's like
Yep.
one person has to be taken out of it. And Zoro was off doing his own thing while Sanji and Luffy were fighting at the castle.
That's
Dude,
what
I-
Oda has to do a lot of times to nerf Zoro. Just have him not be around, you know, because it's like
He's
he'll
just-
end it.
Not only that, just like nerfing him personality wise, like he's so dumb at times. He's not only taking like a ice swim, but he's like I saw a fish. I thought that was weird. I figured I'd chase it. I ended up in the woods, started walking around, got caught in an avalanche. Like, dude's up on his own little adventure. That
Zoro it's not just a lack of sense of direction. He is kind of dumb throughout this arc. Yeah.
he's a strange dude.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Poseidon, you want to hear something absolutely crazy? That the boys pointed out to me. Tekking and Jordan pointed it out to me. I was just rewatching the episodes on stream, and there's a scene where Dalton cuts down Wapple, and then his like 20 fucking MDs show up and start stitching him back together, hammering him back together, and boom, he's alive, back and going. He just got like slashed in the anime. In the manga, he got his head cut off.
He gets decapitated.
How is he still alive?
Because manga. Because anime.
It's literally one panel, it's gone, and they're like, "Oh, you forgot to put his head back on." Next panel, he's just
it's done as a joke, but like the implication is the doctors are so good they could even reattach a severed head, which like okay.
But it could also be something with his devil fruit, whereas I guess like he's
made out of tin.
He's put together with fucking nails and stuff like that. Like he's not a normal he's not a normal human by any means.
But that's
so maybe
always a crazy scene,
it's very wild.
Speaking of wild injuries, like this isn't something I remembered. Like I said, I reread a little bit of it this morning. But whenever Sanji was fighting the rabbits and stuff, and they got to the top of the mountain, they're like, he broke 6 ribs and cracked his spine. And I'm like, cracked his spine? I'm like,
yeah.
I was reading that. I'm like, what kind of cure did they get to get him back up on his feet so soon? Like
they're
still
fine.
Fighting.
Kureha has medicine that'll fix your spine.
One Piece medicine.
Yeah, One Piece medicine. What type of injury? Spinal.
Exactly.
Dude, and let's not forget Luffy climbing up I think they mention it's like 5 vertical miles, completely barehanded with sandals and like no jacket, and he's like severe frostbite, and they just like throw him in hot water to fix that. I'm like, okay.
That was one of my favorite scenes when I was younger, and I still love it to death because he's carrying 2 of his comrades. He's in a blizzard.
Great scene.
Part of me thinks that they saw Goku climbing like Current Tower and stuff. Or Oda saw that and he's like, I could do you one better. What about carrying 2 people in a blizzard? Like,
Poseidon, how did you feel about that scene? Like, not only was it badass, I feel like it was also like emotional watching Luffy climb that mountain. How did you feel about it?
It did make me feel emotional because you could tell how much he cares like about Nami. Which, by the way, I did mention last arc that I'm like, there's something going on with Nami because she had that like little bug bite or something, and it turns out it led to Drum Island because they needed to find a doctor for her. So to see how like Luffy was getting so emotional over like Nami, and he was just like, I am going to get her to this doctor no matter what. I don't know. It made me love Luffy so much.
Fun fact, that was also something that was added in the anime. They don't show her getting bit by it in the manga. They added that. Like, yes, they added that. Yeah.
I do remember you calling that out.
I don't think we saw the bite itself happen. You just see like the mark.
Yeah, you see the mark later. Yeah,
in the anime.
In the anime, she actually does say like, "Ow, something just bit me."
Oh, really? I don't
and then Zoro was asking like, "Oh, are you okay?"
And she's like, "Yeah, it's fine." And she's like, "Oh, okay, whatever."
The fact that Poseidon called that out though and was like, I think that's gonna be something. That was wild.
It was relevant.
And I'm like, that might be
Poseidon,
relevant. I don't know.
I want to get your opinion on something. In the chat, I posted the original design that Oda had for Chopper.
Oh my god! What is that?
Where am I looking?
The Rand Cafe just general chat. I put it in there.
What?
Sorry.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh my god!
It's the one. I just clicked on Rand Cafe. Just open chat. It's the one with
integrated chat.
The integrated.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. You got it. Yeah. So that's the original design. Oda went through a couple, but I'm glad he changed the overall design of this.
Dude, why does he look so like fucking old and droopy?
That was the original.
Is he smoking a candy cane? What the fuck?
He was a smoker at the beginning. There was a couple of designs of him, and he's smoking in a few of them. Yeah. I guess he moved that over to Sanji. Will be the smoker. I guess.
Which that's one of the weird things about One Piece to me and stuff is there's so many characters that like I feel like would be much more popular and cool if they just had a different design. As far as like Wapple, like he's a king character that's introduced. He ran away, but he ran away from Blackbeard, which when Blackbeard first introduced, he's like not scared of dragon. Like there's these other all these things introduced with Wapple and whatnot, but he's just so goofy looking. Like he's just
He is very goofy looking.
Wapple,
I get what the
by the way, guys,
reference-
Wapple and Don Krieger are voiced by the same character, and they're like
That does not surprise me in
Oh,
the slightest.
Yeah.
really?
they're voiced by the same voice actor, and probably two of the most people's like least favorite villains in early One Piece.
Mm.
Yeah, I really honestly, I did not care much for Wapple as a villain. He was
Not
kind of
even when he got
annoying.
thin in thin version Wapple. That was
No.
great. He was so
What-
sexy.
But what about Chess? What about Chess?
Chess. I thought Chess was cooler than Wapple.
Okay.
And
I
I
forgot.
thought
Morimo
his
is on the-
sidekicks
is
were
on the
more
bottom.
fun.
I hadn't read One
Me
Piece in a
too.
little while, especially like the Drum Island arc. So like jumping back into just this arc in particular and starting out where you just see Chess walking on water, and there's just this awkward moment of them like looking at him and he's looking at them, and I'm like, you forget how goofy One Piece can be with characters like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
make them-
I had to
always a great
redo that
representation.
entire. I looked at that reindeer that Tekken sent, and I closed one of the tabs by accident.
Yeah.
So I had to redo that entire setup there. I am sorry,
Sorry,
guys.
man.
No, it's not your fault. I'm apologizing in the chat. How do you feel about some of the fights, Poseidon? Anything about that?
I really enjoyed it. One of my favorite moments was when Sanji was fighting Wapple's like sidekicks like Chess and
Kuro
everybody.
Marimo and Chess. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he got like the little hairball
Yeah.
stuck on him, and he was just like trying to get it off. I thought that was really funny. But even like the fights with the bunny, the big rabbits,
Loppins. Yeah.
that was fun.
It was so funny at first, actually, when like Luffy and Sanji just having a casual conversation, dodging the first like
Yes.
Lopin
Yeah.
over and
Yeah.
over and over again. I thought that was great. The little things in early One Piece I find so fucking funny.
Yep.
The bunnies were cool, and like, the fact that they were the size of bears is scary and all, but I think my favorite animal in this arc was the hiking bear, which was a different bear, just kind of
Oh.
straddling around, just
Yes.
bowed to it. He's like common courtesy.
What
you know,
about
that's just what they
Robson,
do.
dude? What about Robson? Robson
Oh,
for Straw Hat.
no!
The white
I
walkie.
love
Oh yeah.
Robson!
I want a plushie of Robson. I think
Me
they make
too.
them actually.
Ooh.
I need to look into that. Yeah.
No, it made me
Robson is
so
just
sad.
like I just like I hate this. This guy is carrying me around and stuff. I really don't care for this. And he gets
He
the
was
raw
just-
end of the deal too, because Luffy bazookas, I think him as well. So it's like
Poor
both
guy.
of them
Yeah.
get launched
Not
into
my-
the stratosphere. He
Not my
didn't do
boy
anything.
Robson. He did nothing
Yeah,
wrong.
he was just there.
Do you ever get to see
That
like
was
how the
fun.
legs actually look in the anime?
They
Or
extend.
it's like,
Yeah.
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 You're like, he's over adapted for the snow. He's so comfortable in it.
Yeah.
He's
He's
chilling.
very, very fuzzy.
What
Poor
else? Did you
Robson.
you got to see Chopper fighting, which was cool, and his different
Oh,
forms.
yeah.
I love the different forms the first time I saw that. That was such a cool concept to me.
I feel like that's just a cool concept for every teenager out there that sees
Gotta have
like 7
transformation.
transformations. That's just such a shonen thing. where you're
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
that is the coolest thing.
See, I wasn't expecting because I've seen Chopper like in the past because it's the One Piece mascot. I was not expecting Chopper to have like the human devil fruit where he can just turn himself into basically a reindeer human. That really
Yeah.
caught me off guard because I've never seen that before. But I was very surprised to see how strong Chopper is.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
you think this little old guy couldn't do you any harm, but no, he can transform into a big buff human
Yeti,
and beat the shit
basically,
out
yeah.
of you.
He's adorable, but he has steroids. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't
He's
underestimate
strong as
that.
fuck.
This
Get ready
is,
for his bounty, dude. Get ready for his bounty. He's strong.
Yeah, get ready for that soon. And this is original design Chopper. He goes through some design shifts as the story goes on. You know how like the original Pikachu in Red and Blue was like kind of chubby and then they slimmed him down a lot?
Yeah.
That kind of happens with Chopper throughout the anime.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to pay attention then to
Yeah.
what he looks like.
He's cute throughout though. All versions of Chopper. are
Jumping Point.
adorable.
Jumping Point's my favorite. I love Jumping Point. Yeah.
Anything you want to mention about Vivi in this arc?
I honestly didn't pay too much attention to her because I was so focused on everything else.
Fair.
But I am really excited to see what she does in the future. I do like the bond that she did have with Dalton because I think both of them had a lot that they could like talk about and relate to just
Mhm.
based off of both of their situations, like how she was her kingdom was basically getting taken over, and then something similar happened to Dalton as well with Wapple. So I really like those two, both of their relationships. I understand why they didn't really put too much focus on her on this arc because I know the next arc is basically just gonna be like all
Yeah,
her.
it's gonna be like her
So,
arc, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a good comparison, and we find out at the end of this arc, like Wapple and Vivi met before at the World Council. It's called
Yeah.
Reverie, and so that's like a reference there. And Dalton knew her from that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw
Yeah,
there was
'cause-
one thing I really liked with Vivi at the beginning of the arc where like Nami wanted to go straight to Alabasta and no detour. And then
Mhm.
Vivi has that moment where it's like, well, I guess we gotta stop off at the nearest island and find you a doctor. That way we can
Yes.
go as quick as possible. And it was just a really wholesome moment that I really appreciated. It made me fall even a little bit more in love with Vivi and want her to join.
Yeah,
that
and then
was-
she.
Oh,
Oh no,
sorry,
I was
sorry.
gonna go ahead. I was just gonna say she talks to the Islanders because they just wanted to shoot them, and she's like, "Wait, no!" And she even gets shot. She gets grazed.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Like, hey,
Something I wanted to like kind of note as well was is Vivi and Nami's relationship, because I remember back in gosh, I'm so bad at remembering these names, but like the Baroque Island.
Oh,
where
Whiskey
Vivi-
Peak. That's why I'm
There we
here.
go,
It's
there we go.
okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Teki. Where Vivi was begging them like, please take me back to Alabasta, and Nami's like, I'll do it for a price. Like,
Yep.
I'll do it. But then as like the story goes on, right, you see Nami and Vivi grow this bond, and Nami is just like, no, we need to take Vivi back. We need to take Vivi back. Like now it's not just about money. She genuinely just cares about Vivi and wants her to go home.
Yeah,
So,
they
I love
develop like
that.
a rather sisterly bond, and also just the
Mhm.
fact I think she's just happy there's another like woman on the crew that she can like relate to.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
she's with a bunch of dudes up until this point. I'm like, okay, this is kind of nice.
Two things I just want to mention, like for me, like this arc, the reason why I say it's underrated is because whatever, like it has some good moments, and like it's not like the biggest, most memorable arc, but there's two moments within the arc that I feel like are still some of my favorite moments within all of One Piece, and that's one, Luffy climbing the mountain, like we talked about earlier. Like homie's in a fucking tank top in a blizzard. His fingers are bleeding and frostbite's happening. He's climbing a straight up mountain that is literally just like scaling it. It's just completely straight up. 10,000, is it? How
We
high
have,
is it?
I believe it's 5,000.
5,000 meters.
A metric of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 5,000 meters in the air, and he's carrying both Sanji and Nami. And then when he finally gets to the top, he like throws them both over and then passes out. Like he achieved his goal, and then immediately like just goes unconscious. As they are both like kind of brought to safety. Like that was one moment I'll never forget. It hit me hard. And the next one is obviously Dr. Hiriluk's death and the line that he says before he dies. It's just like a quote that I love within One Piece. I don't remember the exact quote. I don't want to butcher
he basically, he basically says that
When does a man die?
man
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
It's when he's forgotten, right? It's not
Yeah.
when he takes a
Yeah.
bullet or whenever. Yeah,
It's not when he drinks a
That
soup
was
with
the
a
line
poisonous mushroom or gets shot by a pistol or a cannon or anything like that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, I think that was what really spoke to Dalton right there. When that moment,
And
whenever,
it's
after
really
he goes.
added. It's added to it in the anime because they use they use Ave Maria in the anime, which is something rare. They don't usually do something like that, like an actual like orchestra, but it like brings the scene together. It's beautiful. Yeah.
I agree. I'm trying to think of anything else. Are there any big moments you remember, Poseidon, or even you two that you guys want to talk about?
I loved Robson.
Robson,
actually
my boy.
cried when he got yeeted into the sky, Team Rocket style. That was that was so sad. He was just there. He didn't do anything. In fact, I remember there was a moment where like Wapple was telling Robson to do something, and he just like
he just
scoffed
didn't
at
care.
Wapple like, I don't want to do this. Whatever. Like he just didn't. He didn't do anything.
Poseidon, I have a question for you.
Yes.
No spoilers, guys. I don't remember exactly how much is talked about or how much is shown within this arc, but two characters were brought up. We got to see or hear about Blackbeard and about, I believe, Ace.
We see
Yes.
Ace
We
at
see
the
it.
end of we see we don't see his face, but we see he's there. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you remember anything about them or like have any comments, Poseidon. I don't want to. I just don't know how much they were talked about.
I just remember Ace being shown at the end
Mm-hmm.
of like the last episode of the arc where he's just like, I'm looking for the Straw Hats or something. And I'm like, oh no, I know who this is. And then he was just acting all goofy at the end. Well, I'm really excited to meet Ace. I have friends that are also really into One Piece and they talk about Ace all the time. and I'm
Yeah,
just
I
like
wonder
now.
why.
I wonder why. So I'm excited to meet him. And Blackbeard, that is a name I have heard a lot because I'm also playing the One Piece TCG right now.
Okay, there you
And
go.
that's
then,
like that's one of the newer decks as well. So I'm very kind of familiar with who Blackbeard is.
And,
but
and also
not
just like it's a
exactly...
pirate manga and there's history. I mean,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
Blackbeard's like the most famous pirate ever. So he was gonna show up at some point. That was kind of like
Mhm.
just expected. Yeah.
So I'm excited to meet him as well. See what he has got. Like, I don't know if he is like going to be coming soon, but
You'll find out in
very-
1,000 episodes.
You'll
Yeah.
find out, yeah.
in like 1,000 episodes.
So he actually just showed up in the last chapter. It's crazy.
just
24 years it took.
Mhm.
Yeah, dude, it's so fucking funny teching. Like, I started off with the first episode of Drum Island, and like within the first like 10 seconds, Usopp and Luffy are like, Elbaf, I can't wait to go to Elbaf. It's like, it's so
Nope,
rigged.
you sure will.
You sure will someday. Oh man, I just love, so like for Poseidon it probably doesn't seem this way, but for like us, this is so early into One Piece.
Yeah.
So I really I really appreciate going through this with Poseidon, and like I appreciate it as well just because I get to see like these names like Ace and Blackbeard. I'm like, oh my god, they're being dropped so early on.
Mhm.
Dude, I remember reading because there used to be a Shonen Jump magazine that would be sold in American like stores, and it was like a slimmed down version that you could get. And I remember reading Little Garden and Drum Island in that when I was in middle school when I was like 12 years old, and
That's
now I'm
crazy.
almost 32.
And we're
here
still
we are.
talking about Drum
Yeah,
Island.
we're
Let's
still-
I only had
go.
1 or 2 of those, but I think it was around that same time.
Yeah, it was back like
wild.
mid
Yeah.
mid 2000s kind
Mhm.
of place, like 06 and stuff. I remember getting them. Yeah.
So where did we end off with the last episode, Poseidon? Do you know like what's happening, where they're going, and stuff like that? I don't want to spoil anything.
I believe they are going to Alabasta. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, they are going to be heading towards there. So yeah, I did look a little bit ahead. It is going to be a 40 episode.
So this is a long arc. It is. This
Oh,
is the longest
Lord.
arc at this point. Yeah, Alabasta's, but it's a
Mm.
great conclusion to the little saga that's been going on the last couple of arcs.
I
Yeah.
am looking forward to it. I'm very, very excited.
So
As you should be. Yeah.
Poseidon, how do you want to do this? Do we want to take a little bit of a longer break and you could get through all of it, or do you want to split it
Yes.
up into like two? We could do it two.
Ooh.
We could do 2 episodes on it and split it into like 20 episodes and 20 episodes type
Yeah.
of thing.
I think that would work best, just splitting it,
Okay.
just so we can go halfway. I can talk about the first half, and then we'll talk about the second half just
Yeah.
going forward.
That sounds good to
Um,
me. I'm gonna have to look into it and see exactly like a good stopping point or a good cutoff point. Cause like 20 and 20, I don't want you to be like halfway through something. So it might be 18 and 22 or something, but I'll look into it and find you and I'll send you a message.
Yeah. my
Also,
gosh.
I'm still a big supporter of One Piece. I know I shouldn't be pushing you if you're enjoying doing it the normal way, but I am a big supporter of One Piece. A lot of people in chat don't like it and they get mad that I say this, but like, I think it makes the pacing gets worse and worse and worse throughout the series, and it just makes it so much better.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I wouldn't say it's that big of a deal, but it does kind of slog once you get to certain arcs. Like, Ennie's Lobby has a lot of like chapters and episodes that take breaks from the main plot, and it would be nice just to watch it in all one thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I know the arc I started reading the manga rather than watching the anime and stuff. It was an arc that lasted over 100 episodes. So you think 40 for
Yeah,
Alabasta is a lot.
I think I know what you're
What?
talking about. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of that's the problem is a lot of that is filler, and
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
it needs to be cut down
It-
significantly.
It was like they would
Yeah.
adapt like one chapter into like one episode with like a
So-
lot of recap at the start and like a lot
Yep.
of nothing at the
I
end.
know what arc you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was literally less than a half of a chapter. It was so
Apparently it got better
slow.
after that, but I
Yeah.
haven't really watched it since then.
Now,
I've
there was
just
a
read it.
reason why they did that, but like it's
Mhm.
it's such a hard thing to watch sometimes
Yeah.
with that arc.
yeah, there was one arc that was my entire high school life. It took 4 years to get through.
Yeah.
I remember I made like a review at the beginning of high school, and then I'm like ending high school. I'm like, wait, we're in the same arc. We're in the same fucking arc, and that's
Yep.
when I started reading the manga. I couldn't do it, especially because I was watching week to week. It's easier when you binge, but in general, I do think like One Piece is like a fucking masterpiece. But the anime kind of butchers it at times. So keep on pushing your way through Poseidon, but at any point, don't feel terrible if you want to start reading the manga or watching One Piece.
Yeah, I'm honestly like starting to consider it. I'm gonna try to get through Alabasta to see how I feel. But there may just come a point where I'm just like, I'm done. I'm just gonna
Yeah, no,
watch
that's
One
fair.
Piece.
That's fair.
Yeah. More than any other series, I think One Piece is one of those where it's not necessarily trying to get to the end. That's the point. It's like just enjoying the journey. So make sure you're
It's
having
the
fun with
journey,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I
Briggs, I'm
completely
picturing
agree.
you like in a bar just drinking straight whiskey and just being like, back in the high school days, I know about that. You know, like that was rough.
Back in my day,
Back in my day.
One Piece was enjoying the insert arc name here. I don't want to
Insert arc name here that we haven't gotten to yet.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's actually fucking crazy that like pretty much all three of us have been watching or reading One Piece for over a decade. Like I think it's going on like
It is wild.
13, 14
Mine-
years for me, right?
Mine is close to, if you count like the 4Kids dub is when I first started watching it, and that was 05, so it's close to 20 years.
That's fucking
And that's
nuts.
wild. Yeah.
And Poseidon, just a little
Wild to think
baby
about.
getting into it. I'm so proud of you.
I'm a little late
Aw,
to the
that's
party,
nice.
but,
No, but it's
better
so-
late than never.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting re-going through it with someone, getting someone into it, hearing how passionate and excited they are about certain things. Like when you're like, I think Chopper's my favorite character. Like it just like it makes me so happy.
I want a Chopper plushie now.
Well, you
Now.
could definitely find one. There's a lot.
There's
There's
a lot.
so
Being the mascot
many.
character is working. Let's go.
That's probably the most merch comes from Chopper, I would assume.
Mhm.
Any
You little
Understandably
mascot
so.
guy.
any final thoughts on this arc or on One Piece in general, guys?
I want Nico Robin now.
I mean, I understand that totally, but you know, we'll get to her in the
We'll
next
get
arc.
to her. Oh my god. If,
Will the
if there's a
trading card addiction continue?
It does. Oh my god. I think honestly the card game has been making me love One Piece more. Because then I'll look at a card and be like, I'm probably not going to see this for a little bit. But it makes me look forward to continuing One Piece. 'Cause I want to
The
know where
artwork
this
on it
card
is
came
amazing.
from.
I love the artwork on the super rare stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really
so
cool. It's really cool. Jordan, Teching, any like
I mean, it's a
final
great
thoughts
arc
on-
for Christmas. If you want to just go back and reread it or rewatch it, some of my favorite scenes in this, like one of my favorite moments of all time would probably be in my top 10 is when Luffy's asking Kureha to heal Nami and Sanji before he worries about himself. That's probably one of my favorite
Yeah.
scenes in the entire story right there. Period.
I love that. Jordan?
No, thank you for having me. It was really fun rereading the arc and getting to talk to everybody about it. So hopefully everybody out there has a Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
That's
Merry,
about it for me.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Check out all the boys. The Anime Dude on Twitch. Tekking's everywhere. Poseidon's everywhere. Check the boys out. Love you guys. Chimpaku. By the way, this podcast's on Spotify and stuff too. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Happy birthday, Chopper!
Happy birthday, Chopper.
Happy
Oh my
birthday,
God, your
Chopper.
hair is blue.